trusting that we had a lovely week with you. Welcome to our tonight's program. This is the leadership platform where we tackle matters to do leadership. We'll be in studio, I know. It's not a new place unto you. He's none other than Pastor Elijah Wawire. You know, I'm normally tempted to call him Bishop Elijah Wawire. I don't know why, but that's what I know. Tutazungumza tukisonga, lakini karibu sana katika kipindi chetu cha usiku wa leo, because as you know, this is a program that comes once a week, specifically on Sunday, starting us from 8 all the way to 9. Remember that you can engage us. You can send in your text using our studio platforms, which is 0756303019. That is specifically for you who would like to send in your text. Alternatively, you can reach us through our social handles on Facebook, that is Uprising TV. Alternatively, you can get this live broadcast on your YouTube channel, that is Uprising TV. But before we just pick it up from where we left last, first of all, allow me welcome Pastor Elijah Wawire into this session. He says hi before now we dive into our topic of discussion this night. Welcome, Pastor Elijah.
Thank you.
It has been a great week.
Yeah, it has.
Yes.
I'm so happy and excited to meet you, and you really inspire the way you talk.
Yes.
You know, things are just flowing.
Thank God.
Yeah, and then I'm also happy to God, even to meet my viewers wherever they are, right in their houses.
Actually, I've been looking forward to having you.
Yes. So it's like whenever I do it, I wait for the next one, because they have the best audience.
Amen.
So I'm glad, I'm happy. I thank God that some of you are texting and calling.
Yes.
And if there is an issue you feel we are not tackling, maybe we gave it a light touch, you are free to respond, because we are here to serve and meet, your needs, so that we grow together. Thank you.
Maybe one thing that I remember to ask you when we are ending this session, actually, it's for you, if you'll be free to provide your number, because I know during our last broadcast you did provide your number.
Yes.
Especially for those people from those regions of the other side of Western, that is Bungoma, and regions of Kakamega and maybe Busia. I know the plan that actually Uprising TV, it is an inspiration to them in terms of the kind of programs that are aired. So that people maybe would like to reach you specifically concerning specific issues which may not be shared on our studio line, but someone feels like if he reaches you directly, you can be of help to him. So I know that you will do when we are ending this particular session, but for now, may I allow you first, maybe do a recap from where we were last before we now continue.
Okay.
We should start it today.
Okay.
Yes.
I think last week we were in Mark chapter 1, verses 16, where Jesus said, "Come and I will make." And I think we will tackle a lot of things. But if I was to give a major topic that we will build subtopics out of it, would be to make. Because whether we come to communication, which we will handle later, whether we come to harmony, the end result is we are trying to build something, to make something. And on the other side, the leaders being made should allow themselves. So I think we will revolve around that, because that is one of the strongest statements. I always say that Jesus meant, I will make. That word make is so rich. And we concluded, that in as much as the leaders, whom we call those who are ahead, because a leader, all of us may be leaders, okay? But we need a leader. Every leader needs a leader. Because leadership is in levels and in capacities. You find even in the family, a father is the overall leader. But you see, from there, a mother is a leader. From there, when you come to children, if they are about 10, one of them is a leader of the rest. So there are things a father will not come directly down to the leaders because he has another leader here. But this leader must be following another leader who is following another leader. And that's why at the end of it, Jesus says, and all leadership, including us fathers, we submit under the authority of Christ. Yeah, so, and if you are following a leader who doesn't have a leader, you are getting lost. Just look for a leader. So that's why now we say it as followers. Let's not think because we have followers behind us, then we don't need to follow. We have to follow so that we can get something we pass over.
You mentioned something very important because I know in the era we live in, there are those people who believe like they can be self-made.
Yeah.
They say like there's no need for me to be under some leadership. Let me just like whatever I decide with my life.
Yes.
That is the
now that's the danger we are having today because if you don't know how to submit under an earthly man, okay, you may, the word is you may, you may have a problem on submitting to Christ because submitting under a man helps you to submit under Christ whom you don't see. And that's why Jesus demonstrated. But I think people are just, I think we are building out something that was not founded by Jesus because Jesus himself, as a man, submitted under the father and the mother. The Bible says he was being led, to the temple, and everywhere he was being sent. Two, he submitted under John. He waited until John ushered him. In fact, he says there is no one as greater as John. That doesn't mean that the ministry of John in one way, because we don't hear how many people John healed. But the reason why Jesus is lifting is because John is a fatherly figure in the ministry on earth, on Jesus. So he's saying, if you don't usher me, if you don't present me, if you would not have been announcing my coming, because John was announcing, presenting Jesus to the people. That's where greatness comes. But when it comes to miracles, if Jesus based on miracles alone, he would not have, applauded John. And so, as leaders, we need to value people who are ahead of us, not because they have so much wealth, not because they have so much degrees, but one is because they are exposing and stirring what is in us. That's the greatest thing of a leader. It is to stir what is in you. And if we look at it at that point, we will have no problem in submission. Because I've had a few people say, nitafuata huyo mtu ako na nini. Yeah, I have education more than him. I have a car, he's not driving. I have a big house, he doesn't have a house. But I'm submitting to him because he stirs something in me that nobody else could stir. For example, if I would not have become a pastor and then Bishop stirred up that thing. And then as we are talking now, maybe he doesn't have a car, maybe he doesn't have a house, maybe he doesn't have a big ministry. And I have. He would still qualify if I'm an obedient leader. I would still qualify to recognize him as a father, not because of material things, but the element that he could see what nobody else could see and bring it out. That's what we term, we follow such people. So that is what we are almost getting there, getting deep into what we were in last week.
Actually, I agree with you because you see.
Yes.
Like pastors, this statement that is normally said, pastors pray for people, and the things that are prayed for actually manifest in the life of those who have been prayed for. Like maybe you are praying for someone to get a job, he gets a job. You are praying for someone to get a house, maybe to buy a car, he buys. But you see, like maybe this particular pastor, he does not have that car or that language. He has prayed for someone to have it. So people end saying like, mbona asijiombe pia yeye
akuwe nayo. That is you know, my brother, that is, according to me, that is an immature statement. Because one, when we look at all surrounding areas, one, on beginning with an earthly father. Two, begin, you know, when we look at Jesus. Okay? And he gave us a good example. And we go even in Paul, maybe we'll be coming out of those, you know, now today we are just doing a recap, the scriptures. You see, when we look at that, that's how sons or leaders who are being made miss it. Okay? Because they are looking on, you have to have this for you to make me. So they have a formed mind of a father they want. But you see, a father is the one who begets you. You don't choose a father. That's the first thing. Although when we come later on, we will look on how ministry-wise you can be born. In a ministry, you can choose a father to be born. But earthly, you don't choose a father. Like me, I didn't choose my biological father to be born. Okay, so he birthed me, and then when I grew up, I realized this man is limited. One, I would have loved him maybe to be taller. But that was his size. Yeah, I would have loved him to, you know, to be a big man in terms of the name, in terms of material things. But that's how he was. But the good thing that made me to recognize him as a biological father is that there is nobody ever who has ever done what he did by bringing me to the world. So he gave me an opportunity to live. You know, that's now when it comes to biological. When it comes to ministry father, you can choose a father. And that's now where the mistake comes in, because now people look and they choose according to what they want, the preferences they want. But we need to choose according to who stirs you up. Elisha, when the mantle hit him, when Elijah hit him with the clock, that means he touched him with a statement, with an action, and he felt this man has stirred me up. And then he began pursuing Elijah after some time. And then Elijah said, what have I done? By that time, Elisha did not know what Elijah had physically, materially, because this is a man who was appearing from nowhere. You know, you can't trace him, you can't know where he stays. Most of the time he used to stay in mountains. But then there is something he did. Like me, I normally say there is a father you will know by a word he will speak, and then you connect. By that time, you don't know how much money he has on the account. You don't know whether he has it, but you feel like this man has gotten me out of the ditch, and then I'm following. So when you connect to that thing, because they are to start, it's like when there is sugar in a cup, and you are taking tea that is tasteless. Then when you start, you hear the taste. Then you say, now this is tea. Now that is what we need to stick on, so that we follow them, okay? And then, you know, because if we go outside, we'll miss it. So material things should not make us. And this is what I would say as we conclude on that, okay? Paul quotes that and says, though we may appear poor, but we make people rich. I read a quote by John Maxwell, and he was giving a testimony, and he said, the grace of God, because leadership is about the grace of God. When we talk about the grace of God in this context, we are meaning the ability of God. Because leadership, utapata kuna watu pia wako na the grace of leadership, some don't have. And even having that grace, you might have, I have the grace only to lead a few people. If you give me more, I explode. And there are people who can lead a capacity of 30 million. Like now, you see our president the presidents in the world today, you might find an MCA is very effective as a leader because he can lead a ward. That's the capacity. But when you give him the government, he crumbles it down.
Even a county.
Yeah, or even a county, because he's good. He's a good leader, but the capacity is on a ward level, and it's built by God. Okay, so you find as we wrap up that you can, a good leader is, when John Maxwell says that the grace of God is not for us, but we benefit from it. The grace of God in me for leadership is for the people. Now, when we look at it, we will not undermine pastors who don't have everything, because they may have received the grace of God for riches, so that because the need of people around that pastor are material things. His need is not that one. So God will not stop releasing grace through him for the people just because he doesn't need. So God will release the grace to people according to the need. So if people need material things, okay, and the pastor, that's not his need, God will release the grace through him for people to buy a car, but for him, he will receive the grace that he needs. Maybe his need is not a car. But by the way, there are many pastors, there are people who millions are not a priority to them. There are people whom houses are not a priority to them. In fact, my need is not even a big house. And you are forcing a house to him. Yes.
That is not his priority.
He's not a priority. It's not in him.
I tell you.
So, some of them is like, I told somebody and said, talking in a workshop, and he said, my need is not a car. My need is just to have money to feed myself and feel good. I don't need a car. Then I said, why? Because he said, a car will give me a lot of problems. Now, if this person was a pastor, and then he doesn't need a car,
you are forcing a car.
And then he has people around him or below him who needs car. Don't you think God will release the grace? God will just release the grace of cars and say, okay, you don't need it, but release it to the people. But in the process, what is your need? You will benefit from that grace. So that's why we don't need to judge people and think they are not qualified, because what are they doing? Are they elevating? Are they promoting? Are they raising you up? Are they adding value on you? If they are adding value on you and they don't know how to speak English, they don't have a good house, go for the value. You are not, their car is not benefiting you.
Yes.
Okay? If I have a father and then he's adding value to me, okay? And then he's correcting me, he's improving me. What is wrong with that? Because even if he doesn't have a degree, doesn't have a good house, is the house blessing me, or it is him who is adding value?
All right.
You see? So we miss that point, and that's why we have a lot of fathers who are dying with the potential, because sons or leaders being made are focusing on wrong, thing.
I get. So, look for what is being stirred in your life.
To me, that is it.
I get the point.
Thank you.
I think we have taken quite long to do a recap, but there is no damage. Actually, you are trying to do a recap of our previous broadcast.
My goodness.
And still have a recap of it on our YouTube channel. You can catch the session. But now, may I now allow you now get into today's focus of the day.
Okay.
Yes.
Now today, but by the way, there is another platform I was doing a recap, and we realized the recap became the topic of the day. Well, so long as we are benefiting and we are not just repeating, because so long as it's a new thing, we are capturing, that is okay. Now I feel we will be tackling subtopics, maybe one, twice a month, and today I feel we handle the word alignment.
Alignments. All right.
Yeah, because alignment is a word that got my attention, especially in the family, in any organization. We need alignment. I don't have a lot of knowledge in the mechanic or automotive, whatever.
All right.
But whenever I take my car, it's pulling one side. You can, you can be driving a car and then it's pulling on one side. When you leave the steering, you find it's pulling one side. So I went to the garage and they said, we want to do alignment. So I said, what is alignment? They said alignment is, according to them, is we want to make the car run without pulling one side, because it was made to be balanced on the road, so that where the front tire steps, that's where the back tire will step. So that's in a layman's language.
And a road is very straight.
Yeah, actually on a straight road. And I got that attention because vision is on a straight line. Okay? And once you cast a vision, according to this one, alignment is where the leader is stepping, the front leader. That is where the last member in the church should also. Whether it is 5 years from now or now, but that is where. Now, whenever you find that, it means there is an alignment. Alignment is what the top leader is speaking. That is what the least leader in that organization is speaking. That means in alignment, we have the same language. Same language. That means if this week, this is what the top leader said we are doing, the last one is saying the same. He's not contradicting. He's not saying something different. And so it's a very key thing, because where there is no alignment, the vision is lost. Because you see, where there is no alignment, it means the leader is pointing there and the middle leaders are pulling on another side. So they confuse now the last or the least followers, because when they come to the end, when they come to a point, they see that leader is heading there. But there are leaders in between here are heading this side. So whom should we follow?
There's kind of confusion.
Yeah. So they end up like, should we follow that one? Should we follow this one? And that's what now brings confusion in, actually it brings stagnation. Sometimes it ends up bringing, a competition, because now you begin separating the congregation. Some become followers of, others become, and this, how can you detect? I'm just preempting because I know we will speak it this today and even next week. Yeah. How can you tell, like signs that there is no alignment? Okay. You will hear contradicting statements. Statements that are diluting another one, like especially the junior leaders are speaking statements that are bringing confusion to the members. Senior pastor said we are having this, but the way this one is announcing, he's saying like there is no. So if there is no clarity, there is no alignment.
And now the problem now where it comes, even major, it's when the junior now maybe has a bigger crowd behind him. Actually, it causes chaos.
And that should not, because when it comes to that level, we are what we normally do is we are sabotaging the vision. Anytime you see there is something called pruning. In agriculture, in plants. I didn't do agriculture, so you will forgive me if I don't. I have a tree, this kind of tree that grows very fast, and if you leave the branches at a low level, they grow very fast. And then, so one guy who is an engineer in agriculture came and told me, branches should be left when the tree has gone to this particular height. Right. So right now you need to cut. I said, why should you cut? He said, because when you leave at it at the first level, you will not sell this, you will not get timber, because those trees are made for timber. So when the branches come out early, he told me the branches grow fast and they will become almost to the size of the main trunk. That's one. And then two, they will make this main trunk not grow wide and taller. So it will dwarf. So it will just provide shade, but not timber. But remember, they are made for timber. So he said,
if you want timber,
you need to prune early enough. So that branches that will be left are those when the tree has attained the height, particular height. Now, a vision that has many, I don't know what we'll call many heads, signs of like vision, a different vision, because people cannot have somebody under you and they have faith in him to follow him. And then he takes a different or contrary way to yours. Because as a junior leader, even when people are favorable, I mean, you are their favorite, you should be careful and avoid the snare of diverting. You should take advantage that if they are following me, let me lead them to the one I am following. You don't lead them to your own direction. So having a big follower is not a crime, it's an advantage. But now you as a leader who people are following, you should direct them. That's why Jesus, every time people wanted to make Jesus God. Okay? Jesus is God, yes, but they wanted to make him like, don't recognize our Father in heaven. You can heal. There is nothing you can do. You can heal, you can forgive sins. Yes, and you're here. You have the power and everything. So what do you do? Jesus said, yes, let's just have our own government here. Even to my Father.
It's not necessary.
But you see, Jesus avoided that trap. Every time he would repeat, I am here and I'm not doing anything that my Father has not told me. Wherever I am going, every step, I'm instructed. That was alignment. He was trying to tell them, you guys, you want to get me off the track. You want us to have two fathers in heaven. But Jesus is a father, okay? But under a father. That's why, the word of God says he's seated together with the Father. Okay? So he's a father to us, but he is a father. So when it comes to his father, he has aligned in such a way that he can never say, now that I have redeemed the world, I have a follower. In fact, on earth, it is Jesus who is known more than the Father on earth, because we pray through Jesus. We talk about the wounds of Jesus. We talk about the cross of Jesus. We are talking about the name of Jesus. Yes, on Jesus. But he's so grown as a man that he knew, I want to avoid the trap. So you as a leader who was a follower, it is up to you, because people, can I tell you, my brother, people will always want to crown you. That's the nature in people. So long as you are touching their life, because we may have a chain of leaders. Like now, let me give example of me. I may have a chain of, I may have like 3 levels of leadership in my church. Okay? Right. 3 levels, like senior pastor, and then I have leaders there who are close to me, elders, and then I have 3rd level, and then I have 4th level. So you might find there are members in church who are so much in touch with the 4th level of a leader. Right. This is the person they cry to every time. This is the person we say, ako ground. In the midst of the week, wakati wanasema hivi, is the one that can reach them. So you see, Because that is the nature of my leadership.
All right.
They stay within the same mindset. Maybe they work within the same perimeter. So he's very close. That's why when he gets this person, he's not sinning. No. And he's not telling this person that now become an independent leader. He's just right. He's just recognizing that if I have you, I have pastor. If I meet you, I'm meeting pastor. If I receive from you, I'm receiving from pastor. It is upon that leader, not the follower. It's upon that leader to make sure he sticks on alignment. So that as this person says, it's you I know, let that leader say, it is you I know, the second level leader. And then the second level leader should say, it is you I know, the first leader. Then now, these ones that are close to me, they would say now, we have followers in church. Pastor may not know some things, but we know. But we are here so that we bring the crowd to him. That's why whenever Jesus was walking, he had a crowd, but the disciples were close to him. And that was a connection. The disciples were a junction, a manhole between Jesus
and now the followers.
And the followers. And they never read the Bible. The disciples never planned an independent meeting without Jesus knowing. In as much as they would usher people, you would hear Jesus was in Peter's house, in Simon Peter's house, in John's house. But whenever Jesus was in another place, you would never hear. And as Jesus was in Galilee, John was having a meeting in his house. They had the capacity. Yeah, they had a follower. 3.5 years. You don't tell me they had that.
In fact, you are working with Jesus.
Yes.
Got the capacity.
Because you look at during the time of crucifixion, this lady who says, you are just like Jesus. That means they had walked until they were just representing Jesus but they avoided the trap that this is the season of Jesus doing ministry. So they never had an extension gathering without. Ndio unasikia to every time whenever Jesus was going to rest, John and Peter were there. And then the crowd came. Because it was, but after Jesus ascending, you hear. So if you are a leader and you are under somebody else, you just need to submit by directing people. Na watu wakitaka kukuavoid trap ya kwamba wanataka kukulead kwa trap ya kwamba unajua hata wewe umetiwa tu mafuta, unaweza fanya hivi. That is the time you need to tell them, now we are having a meeting today, just a minute, and then you bring in your leader to kill that thing. Because people, do you know why people would want to make you a designated, separate or a single segment? Because when they crown you as a king, let me give you the example. And then you are let me say like you are subordinate staff. You are subordinate staff in a principal's, in a school. And then followers revolve, and then they say, "Bwana sisi tunataka tu wewe principal." When you become principal, they will not be juniors, they will be your deputy. So some people will want to crown you because they want position. They are feeling like what they have ni chini. So some of them will push you for their own interest.
All right.
Yeah, because ukisonga juu hata mimi nimeso. So they have a motive.
Tupande wote.
But they will tell you, bana unaweza. Yes.
Pastor, when you talk of that, there's this statement, I don't know where it came from.
Yes.
Of teachers, now learners, that you can teach someone and then that someone becomes better than you. So they're normally carried with that statement that I can do better than what my teacher did. So let me because I feel like I got the capacity, let me now start on my own.
Yeah, okay. It's not bad. It's a true yes statement. It is a true yes statement because even a father begets a son who becomes successful than him. But you see, honor demands that you don't undermine because that's where you came. Even if he's poor, But at that time, before you became rich, he was a hero to you.
True.
Yeah. Yes. So you have to, to acknowledge that. But now, as you become great and you become greater, there are two statements that we need to get out very clearly. You will never nullify the statement that you were once a student. You can never erase that writing that this was my student. Yes, you have succeeded, yes, but it remains in the books that you sat in class under this man who is a teacher who has not moved to the level. Number two, I normally feel like the transition has to be good. Okay? Right. It is true, a teacher can raise a student who can become a president. We saw the other day when they were talking about our president being a student in Kapsabet, and they showed a man who was, whatever. Those men participated. But we need to agree that all of us cannot be president. There is only one seat for the president. Yes. So if we say that, there is a doctor who treated Ruto, he will say,
right, not
yes. Transition. Now, when we come back to here is transition. Like now we can talk of ministry, we can talk of schools, organization. You want to become the head. You have been raised by this teacher, and now you want to become great. What is the transition? This is what I believe. As a son, you don't have to quarrel with your father and fight before you leave and begin your own home. I mean, that should not be the trend. No. As a pastor, even if you are an assistant pastor, an elder, and it is your time to begin ministry, you don't have to fight for you to go and become a pastor. Yeah, there's a proper way of living. Transition is called transition because you need to look at, I have served. Okay? Yeah. And this is the grace, this is the man that has helped me in one way or another. And then two, I'm also going to become a father. Remember, every son is a potential father. Potential father. Yeah, tomorrow. It's only time. It's only time. And sometimes if you don't learn something under father, you will make mistakes over your sons. True. Yeah, because you will not see it. With this time, when you are on this wall of sonship, you will say, this man is doing. But when you become a father, you might find your sons will be still complaining about the same thing. Because when you are supposed to learn, you are complaining and pointing accusation.
That is what will transit.
Yes.
Life is an echo.
Yeah, it's just a circle. You will. Because, we hear and we talk even statements in youth that you will not be a youth forever. Like now youth are talking about, praise, our Elewi. And they are saying, what are to Elewi? These things not like this. And then I tell some of them now, do this. Just a few years from now, you will become a father. Are you sure you will be better than your father? Because if you don't learn, and when what do we say by learning? Learning is going on by when you sit patiently in class. Two, when you are quiet. You can't learn when you are talking because it involves hearing. And then three, you have to watch. So if you are not watching the mistakes, if you are not sitting down to listen and hear so that you separate the wrong and bad. And then three, if you are not patient, you say, I'm impatient. It means you are not learning. So when you become a father, there are high chances the same mistake we made as fathers, you will make them.
And if you don't be careful enough, then transition to the grave.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think transition is even when you are a follower and you feel it is your time. Now. This is what I normally recommend. There is no perfect way of exiting, but I normally say try. Try. There's no perfect way. The reason I'm saying there's no perfect way, there are also fathers when you want to exit, they will not be ready to release you. So I'm saying there is no perfect way.
You are tempting to ask me this question. Actually,
Yes.
you have been a son here.
Yes.
And Bishop Isaac Wawire.
Yes.
So maybe giving us maybe a short testimony. How did it work for you?
I was avoiding to go there today.
But I've got you back.
I was avoiding to go there today. Okay. Now we have different types of fathers when it comes to fatherhood. Just like we have different types of sons. We have obedient sons, disobedient sons, lazy sons, encouraging sons. But Paul says Barnabas. Oh, he mentions Barnabas, he mentions Timothy, Onesimus, and all of them have different qualities. We have sons that will speak to you and encourage you with words. But utaona yawi. There are sons that they will make sure your pocket is rich, but they are not available there. Okay? When it comes to availability, you are laughing. I think you are sick. And now the same, we have different types of fathers. And we have loving fathers. They will just provide love for you. But you know, they may not have something to release you with in terms of cash, okay? Like when you want to become a pastor, they will not, you know, give you 100 speakers, 1 million, whatever. There are fathers who are supporting, you know, like, let me say finances. They will begin something for you. But they will not receive a call from you. When you have an issue, pambana na hali yako. Sisi nilikusort, nikakupatia mix na nini. Anzia pale, please. Hiyo ingine ongelesha Mungu. So they are not there. Your problem is all sorted. Finance. They are you know, encouraging fathers. They providing every time you have a need, you call. Unasikia, oh, how are you? They do a solution. So you may have a father has 7 qualities, 3 qualities, 1 quality, but there is no father who has none. At least he has 1. Because if he doesn't have, then what qualified him to be a father? At least he has 1. Okay. So, back to your question. When I was here, by the way, I didn't know I would become a pastor. It was not in me. I didn't see it coming. But people around me, saw it coming, including Bishop. But Bishop didn't mention it because I've stayed with him long and I know the body language. When Bishop may not tell you something directly that this is what you need to do or this is what you will become sometimes. Okay? But he will tell you through responsibilities he gives you. He may not tell you you are a driver, a media person, but the responsibility he will give you, if you are wise enough, you will realize he can't be sending me with the machines, with the computers, if he doesn't want me to become a media person. Yes. So then you realize if you are wise enough, you can interpret. Kwa language hapa inaitwa decoding, isn't it? Because kuna waves in the atmosphere, but for them, decode so for them to become visual on the ground. So I would say he knew and he was mentoring me, but he never mentioned. Why? Because the responsibilities he gave me, he used to give me responsibilities like organizing meetings. Plan for certain meeting. Tell me whom do we need as a singer? A minister is coming. Where will they, spend? What are we doing? The sound is okay. So I just thought they are just responsibility. But now when time arrived for me to exceed, it didn't come directly from his mouth. Confirmation. But you see, the first one that came was preparing, because he was preparing. When Jesse is sending David to go and fight, Jesse doesn't tell him go and fight. But to me, I interpret like Jesse knew this guy is ready.
Because from the history,
yes,
he has been doing one.
Because the responsibility, and then my brother, how do you send a younger boy to go and see how the senior brothers are doing? I mean, it should be the other way around. It should be the senior boys should be the wants to go. So which means Jesse knew, but the word he didn't use, he was not a direct word communicator, father. He didn't tell him, go and fight. Maybe because he knew that word is too big for him. If he tells him, Jesse, Nani, David, it's now...
Like you are
and also, if it is fighting, I'm not going. I'm not going. Yeah. So he sends him to what he has been mentoring him to be, but in another way. And then he says, take food. And then he says, in his mind, he knows this guy, when he reaches the ground, it's not to be about food. It is his time. So, and I say that statement earlier, you need to study your father and understand him. Fathers are different. Don't liken and compare your father to another person's father. We speak differently. We spend our time differently. We communicate differently. And that's why we are unique. That's why you are not born in that family. You are born in this family to fit here. So you need to understand. So whenever we confuse and say, I want my bishop to be like this one, that's where we miss the point. So when this time, and understand, and then adopt the value, the culture.
You are giving me the other during our last session.
Yes.
Example of maybe used bishop.
Yes.
Wawire and Bishop Thomas.
Yes.
In terms of when they're assigning you for a particular thing, one of them will give you the end result.
Yes.
The other one will give you the process.
The process.
Now, the end result will fit. Or not.
Exactly. Yeah. So when time came, it is now somebody who confirmed and said, this is your season now to go and become a pastor. Now, this is what I did. I connected things right away from beginning, from what Bishop was doing, from what he was equipping me. Then I saw, he was equipping me for this, only that he didn't tell me. Maybe aliona akiniambia, I want to prepare to become a pastor. Maybe something would come up in my mind that would ruin. I don't know. Because some statements, when you say them prematurely, they ruin the destiny instead of building the destiny. Okay? Because can you imagine somebody, you are here, alafu mtu anakuambia, 30 years from now, you are going to become the president or the bishop. You know, to some, it will build them. Kuna wengine itasema bas. Imesha semwa sasa. Nobody should say anything.
Especially from a man of God.
Who are you? You are not saying anything. So I think sometimes also fathers, as they study sons, they say, huyu nikisema hii. Like mimi angesema, and I'm raising you to become a pastor. Ningetoroka mbale. That one I can assure you, because that is one thing I never wanted to hear. And I think he just shelved it. Akasema, mentor you into pastoral without telling you. So when I confirmed and connected the several events, and then I just told him, this is what I'm feeling, that I do according to 1, 2, 3. And people asked, 2 people have told me this, but I'm not sure whether it is the right thing. You see, that one I was giving him a room to say, and then I say, now, I don't know what is your take, because I can't hear it clearly, and I'm not sure. I think it could be my emotion. Then he said, no, it's not just your emotions. That is what God said. This is your right time and you need to go. Then I said, okay. So the transition was very smooth because one, I gave him an opportunity. What is his take in it? 2, okay, I made him to speak what is in his heart. Okay, and he said, this is, and you are going to do a great work. He blessed me. He blessed me in the office. He told me in the office down, then you are going to be a bishop. So, but on the other side, if I just received that and then a man of God prophesied, because he prophesied over me, talked over me in the church when Bishop is not there. The last one now, we did chokora mpaka nikaenda kuona mzee. Kama angesema tu hivi alafu niseme, I've had this thing, I'm ready, and then Bishop is out, and then anasikia tu,
you left.
Organize watu wawili watatu, tumeendanga. You see, it is true. He was preparing me into pastoral. It is true, I have the calling. It is true, men of God has confirmed, but the transition is wrong. because that's not the way you are released. It should just be, I'm releasing you to go. Okay? Yes. And so that's why I feel like even if you have a follower, you have a favor with people, look at transition. Transition is very key.
You said there's no formula for you leaving.
Yeah, there's no formula.
Now. Ensure.
Just in your own way, because weak or poor starting might affect your acceleration. Yeah, it will affect your acceleration. So that's how I left. Okay, now let me.
There's a testimony we are looking for. Actually, testimonies are normally on Tuesday.
Yes.
I feel like we should have a testimony with you.
Okay.
Shared to our viewers, because also a question will be asked. How did it come now that it was Webuye and not maybe Majengo, not Mbale, not Kakamega, and not Gone?
Okay.
Let us maybe find that.
That is on the testimony on Tuesday. Okay. Now, I wanted to say on how do we, what are some of the things when we talk on alignment? Alignment is, as a leader, you need to ask yourself a question that will make you align. It is the work of the senior or the lead leader to align the team. Okay, by telling them, this is where you are going, so this is the vision. But it is you also, the one being led and being made to take responsibility and say, I want to align myself. You begin positioning yourself. So some of the questions that can help us to align ourselves is we need to ask ourselves, what am I doing here? Those are in